There's something you need to know about October 19th. If you've been feeling it, that subtle pull, that inner knowing that something significant is approaching, you're not imagining it. The spiritual realm has been preparing you for this moment. October 19th isn't just another day on your calendar. It's a divine crossroads, a sacred moment when the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds grows thin and clarity becomes available to those who are ready to receive it. What I'm about to share with you may sound unusual, even difficult, but if your spirit led you here, it's because you're meant to hear this message. On this day, something powerful is waiting to be revealed to you, but only if you create the space to receive it. And that space requires one critical decision. On October 19th, you must stay away from your friends. Now, don't misunderstand me. This doesn't mean your friends are evil or that they wish you harm. It means that their energy, yes, even the ones closest to you, can become a distraction. Their words, their emotions, their doubts, their casual conversations may pull you away from the very message God is trying to deliver to your spirit. Think back for a moment. How many times has a single conversation shifted your mood, clouded your clarity, or delayed your progress? On October 19th, the cost of that distraction will be greater than you realize. This is why silence, solitude, and separation become sacred on that day. God's voice is often quiet, and to hear it clearly, you cannot afford the noise of unnecessary words or the influence of others, even if they mean well. Sometimes protection looks like distance. Sometimes love looks like space. And on this day, obedience will look like choosing to stand apart. October 19th is not a punishment, it's a preparation. God is setting you apart because something is ready to be revealed directly to you. If you miss it, the clarity may not return for weeks, months, or even years. But if you protect it, if you honor this instruction, the shift that happens on that day can change the entire course of your journey. This is why you must pay attention. This is why you must stay until the end of this message, because the most important truth, the one that unlocks the full meaning of this divine instruction, is coming at the very end. October 19th is not just another day, it's a spiritual crossroad. The reason this day holds so much weight is because the alignment it carries will test not only your personal strength, but also your boundaries with the people closest to you. You may not realize it, but friends are one of the greatest mirrors in your life. They reflect your strengths, your weaknesses, your hidden fears, and sometimes even your destiny. And on this day, their presence, whether physical or through a phone call, a text, or even social media, has the power to either support or sabotage what God is trying to plant inside of you. Why such urgency? Because conversations are not neutral. Every word exchanged carries energy, intention, and vibration. Words can uplift or destroy, plant courage, or seed doubt. Most of the time, you brush it off. But on a day like October 19th, the spiritual weight behind those words is magnified. Even the smallest phrase, "Are you sure?" or "I don't think that will work," can derail the download God is trying to release into your spirit. Think about it. How many times have you left a conversation with a friend feeling drained, confused, or second-guessing yourself? You went in strong, clear, and confident, but walked away doubting everything you knew to be true. That is exactly the danger of October 19th. The alignment of that day makes you more sensitive, more receptive, and more spiritually open. What you let in, positive or negative, will multiply quickly. If you allow distraction, you will feel confusion. If you choose silence, you will hear clarity. This is why God's instruction is not vague, but direct. Stay away from your friends on October 19th. It's not about rejecting them forever. It's not about questioning their loyalty. It's about recognizing that the message God has for you cannot afford interference, not even from those you love. Some truths are so fragile that they can be shattered by a single careless word. Some revelations are so personal that they can only be received in solitude. Imagine for a moment that you're standing in front of a door. Behind that door is a message, a vision, an opportunity that could redirect your future. But in front of that door are voices, familiar voices, telling you to stop, to wait, to doubt, to rethink. If you listen, the door never opens. If you walk past them in silence, the door unlocks. October 19th is that door, and the voices of your friends, even if they mean well, may keep you standing outside. The truth is, friends are not always aware of the influence they carry. They might call you just to check in, but that conversation could spiral into gossip, complaints, or worries. They might invite you out, but the energy of that meeting could pull you into distraction rather than revelation. They might offer advice, but instead of guidance, it becomes a seed of fear. That's why this day requires isolation, not as punishment, but as protection. Here's the deeper layer. October 19th is a day of separation, not just from friends, but from cycles. You know the patterns that have kept you stuck, the same doubts, the same fears, the same habits, reinforced by the same conversations. This is the moment when those cycles can finally break. But to break them, you cannot surround yourself with the voices that maintain them. The familiar will always try to keep you comfortable, but growth is never comfortable. That's why you're being set apart. Some of you are already feeling this shift. In the days leading up to October 19th, you may have noticed small tensions in your friendships, a misunderstanding, a strange distance, a sudden irritation at things you used to overlook. Pay attention to these signs. They're not accidents. They're warnings, preparing you for the silence you need to embrace. God often gives you subtle cues before a major moment. If you've been feeling like certain people's words weigh heavier than usual, that's your confirmation. But let's be clear. This doesn't mean you're to cut off every friend forever. It means that for this one day, you are to guard your spirit fiercely. Just as you would protect your home from an intruder, you must protect your mind from unnecessary noise. A locked door is not rejection, it's wisdom. Distance is not betrayal, it's preparation. On October 19th, your silence is not an act of abandonment. It's an act of obedience. Here's the paradox. By staying away from friends for one day, you may actually strengthen those friendships in the long run. Why? Because you will return, clearer, lighter, and more aligned. You will know who truly supports your path and who unintentionally distracts you from it. You will see relationships for what they are, either divine assignments that uplift your soul or subtle distractions that keep you circling the same lessons. Without stepping back, you cannot see the difference. And so, October 19th becomes both a test and a revelation. The test is whether you can resist the pull of familiar voices. The revelation is what you hear in the silence once you succeed. It's in that silence that God whispers the truth meant only for you. It's in that quiet that you finally recognize the patterns that need to break, the directions you must take, and the strength you already carry. Do not underestimate this. Many people will ignore the instruction and treat October 19th as just another day. They will talk, meet, gossip, and scroll endlessly through noise, and they will miss the clarity waiting for them. But you, chosen one, are being warned because you're being prepared. Your obedience to this instruction is the key to unlocking what others will overlook. Chosen one, let's take this deeper. On October 19th, the battlefield is not in the outside world, it's inside your own spirit. Every distraction, every invitation, every voice that tries to pull you out of your inner silence is a test of whether you're ready to receive. Your friends, as much as they love you, often represent the old version of you. They're connected to the patterns you used to live in, the thoughts you used to believe, the energy you used to carry. And when you step into transformation, it's almost inevitable that their presence will remind you of what you're leaving behind. This is why, on October 19th, their words or even their energy can drag you backward without them even realizing it. God is clear. This one day is sacred. It's marked, set apart, sealed in divine timing. The vibrations are high, the atmosphere charged, and you cannot risk letting casual conversations dilute what is being downloaded into your soul. Think about it. When you're fasting, you don't take a bite just to please someone. When you're cleansing, you don't drink poison just to fit in. October 19th is a spiritual fast, a day to abstain from voices, from meetings, from energies that could contaminate what is being purified within you. Let's talk about the hidden influence of words. Words are seeds. When a friend says, "I don't think that's possible," that seed of doubt doesn't just disappear. It sits inside you, waiting for a moment of weakness to sprout. When someone jokes, "You always fail at this stuff," it may sound harmless, but that seed reinforces an old identity you're trying to shed. On October 19th, those seeds grow faster. That's why you cannot afford to let anyone plant anything in your soil. And yet, it goes deeper still. You with good intentions, but their words might still redirect your focus away from God's personal message to you. Sometimes encouragement from others becomes a crutch when what you need is to learn to stand firm on your own. Silence forces you to lean only on the divine, to trust that the voice within is enough. Here's a truth that may be uncomfortable. Not everyone in your circle is meant to go where you're going. Some friendships are seasonal. Some people are chapters, not the entire book. On October 19th, this reality may become painfully clear. You might feel a shift in how you see certain people. The laughter may not feel as light. The conversations may feel shallow. The connection may suddenly seem fragile. That's not betrayal. It's revelation. God is showing you who is aligned with your next season and who was only aligned with your past. This day is not about loneliness. It's about alignment. When you step away from the crowd, you step into clarity. When you isolate from the voices, you amplify the only voice that matters. And in that stillness, you begin to realize something profound. You were never meant to walk blindly with the crowd, but to lead with vision. You cannot receive vision in noise. You cannot carry revelation if you're filled with conversation. You cannot move into destiny if you're tied down by distraction. The spiritual world is more alive than ever on October 19th. Signs, synchronicities, and inner confirmations will come quickly, but only if you're tuned in. Imagine trying to hear a whisper in a crowded room. Impossible, right? But step outside into silence, and suddenly the whisper becomes crystal clear. That whisper is what God is trying to release into your spirit on this day. And if you surround yourself with friends, you will miss it. Some of you may feel resistance even as you hear this. You may think, "But my friends would never distract me," or I trust them with everything. That's the very reason this test is so difficult. The people who distract you most are rarely strangers. They're those closest to you, not because they intend harm, but because their voice holds weight in your life. That weight can either anchor you or pull you down. On October 19th, even their lightest words can become heavy. This is why obedience is key. When God says step back, it's not to punish you, it's to protect you. When He tells you to be silent, it's not to isolate you forever, it's to strengthen you for what's ahead. And when He asks you to avoid your friends, it's not because they're bad, it's because the clarity you need is too precious to risk. Think of it like this. October 19th is a sacred appointment. If you miss it, you cannot simply reschedule. The alignment, the energy, the divine opening, it happens once, and those who are present in the silence will receive. Those who are lost in noise will not. It's that simple, that serious. So, chosen one, prepare yourself now. Don't wait until the day arrives. Begin practicing silence. Begin setting boundaries. Begin strengthening your inner resolve. Because when the moment comes, you will need the discipline to say no to the familiar, so you can say yes to the divine. On October 19th, the energy surrounding you is not just about avoiding voices, it's about transformation. This day has been marked in the spiritual calendar because it carries an unusual intensity. Think of it as a mirror being placed before your soul. Whatever is hidden within you, your fears, your doubts, your unhealed wounds, will rise to the surface, not to break you, but to be released. When God asks you to step away from your friends, it's because the healing requires silence. Others may distract you with their advice, their opinions, or their constant need to fill the space with words. But transformation doesn't happen in chatter. It happens in the quiet. Like a seed growing underground, unseen, your breakthrough begins in darkness and stillness before it ever shows in the light. This day calls for protection, not just of your mind, but of your spirit. Imagine your soul as a temple. Every conversation, every meeting, every word spoken by another person is like someone walking into that temple with their shoes still muddy from the world. On October 19th, the temple must remain pure. This is why the command is so direct. No unnecessary meetings, no casual gatherings, no letting others walk into your sacred space uninvited. Patience will be tested. Friends may not understand why you're pulling away for a day. They may think you're distant, cold, or avoiding them. But remember, obedience to God is more important than pleasing people. True friends will understand, and those who don't were never truly aligned with your journey. This test of patience is not about explaining yourself. It's about standing firm in your boundaries. Now let's talk about the signs. Some of you will already feel the build-up in the days leading to October 19th. Strange coincidences, repeated patterns, dreams that feel more vivid than usual. These are not random. They're divine signals. They're the universe preparing you, testing your awareness. For example, you might find yourself feeling drained after speaking to certain people. You might sense tension where once there was harmony. These are warnings, gentle reminders to prepare for the silence that will protect you on the appointed day. Others will feel an inner restlessness, like something is about to happen. That tension is not fear, it's awakening. The old version of you is fighting to remain, while the new version is ready to be born. And birth is always messy. It requires separation. Just as a child must leave the safety of the womb to step into the world, so must you leave the comfort of constant voices to step into clarity. This separation is not forever. It's for one sacred day. but the discipline you practice on October 19th will carry into the days that follow. You will begin to notice who truly supports your growth and who drains it. You will see more clearly the difference between encouragement that uplifts and influence that manipulates. And most importantly, you will trust your own inner guidance like never before. God is asking you to become sensitive to His whispers. In the stillness of that day, you may receive an insight about your future. You may suddenly realize why certain relationships feel heavy. You may see the path you're meant to walk with fresh clarity. These are not small revelations. They're the very keys to unlocking your next season. Chosen one, understand this. October 19th is not just another date. It's a threshold. Crossing it with obedience sets you apart from those who continue in cycles of distraction. Ignoring it leaves you bound to the same voices, the same doubts, the same delays. The choice is yours, but the opportunity is rare. And here's the beauty. The moment you honor the silence, the universe begins to align with you. Doors open, peace enters, clarity sharpens. You realize that the people you thought you couldn't live without were never meant to carry you forward. And in their place, God fills the space with divine presence. On October 19th, protection is not optional, it's essential. The reason you're being called to isolate is not because the people around you are evil, but because their energies are not aligned with what God is preparing for you. Even the most loving friend can unintentionally distract you from the frequency you're meant to stay on. This is why divine wisdom says, protect your energy. How do you protect yourself? The first step is silence. Silence is not emptiness. It's a shield. In silence, the vibrations of gossip, negativity, or even casual noise cannot enter. The second step is awareness. Be mindful of what you consume that day. Not just conversations, but media, music, even the words you repeat in your own thoughts. Everything carries frequency. On this day, choose only what uplifts, what purifies, what keeps your heart steady. This will not always feel comfortable. Isolation rarely does. When you step back from people, you may feel loneliness pressing in. But understand this. Loneliness is not abandonment. It's preparation. It's in the silence of separation that prophets heard God's voice, that visionaries received direction, that ordinary souls were turned into extraordinary vessels. What feels like absence is actually the presence of something greater, moving closer. Patience becomes your greatest ally. On October 19th, situations may arise to test your calm. Maybe someone will try to pull you into an argument. Maybe a friend will insist on meeting, not understanding why you need this space. These are not coincidences. They're the very tests designed to see if you will remain faithful to the instruction. The true exam of spiritual growth is not how much you know, but how disciplined you are when it counts. Remember this, the voices you avoid that day are not just external. They can also be internal. Self-doubt, fear, and old insecurities may rise louder than ever. But here lies the power. When you silence the world, you finally recognize which voices are yours and which ones never belonged to you in the first place. God's whisper can only be heard when the noise dies down. As you pass through this day, you will begin to notice something powerful. Alignment. Thoughts that once felt scattered suddenly connect. A decision that once felt impossible becomes clear. Relationships that once confused you begin to reveal their true nature. It's as if the fog lifts and the path forward is no longer hidden. This is not coincidence. It's divine clarity, waiting for the moment you proved you could hold the silence. And when the day passes, you will not return to who you were before. Something inside you will have shifted. You will carry a sharper discernment, a stronger spirit, and a lighter heart. The one day of isolation will become the foundation for many days of transformation. October 19th is not about rejection. It's about redirection. By staying away from friends, you're not losing connection. You're gaining alignment. By choosing silence, you're not closing yourself off. You're opening yourself up to the highest voice. By obeying this divine call, you're declaring, I am ready. Ready for clarity, ready for protection, ready for the next chapter of my journey. On October 19th, everything you've been preparing for comes into focus. This is not just another date on the calendar, it's a divine checkpoint. Think of your life as a journey across a vast map. Most days the path feels ordinary, repetitive, even predictable. But then there are days like this, days where the road splits and the direction you choose determines the entire course ahead. October 19th is such a day. You've been guided here for a reason. Out of all the noise, all the distractions, all the messages swirling in the world, you're here reading these words because something inside you already knew the truth. You cannot afford to treat this day like any other. You cannot afford to simply move through it unconsciously. You must rise to meet it fully awake, fully intentional, and fully guarded. This is not about fear. It's about focus. Too many people waste divine opportunities because they're distracted by what others are saying, doing, or projecting. But you've been warned. On October 19th, the voices around you will not serve you. They will test you. They will pull at you. Some may do it out of love, others out of ignorance, and some out of spiritual interference. But the result is the same. If you let them in, you will lose the clarity waiting for you. Think about the moments in your life when one conversation changed everything. Maybe it was someone who planted doubt when you were ready to move forward. Maybe it was advice that sounded good but pulled you off track. Maybe it was casual words that left a wound you carried for years. Words carry weight. Words carry energy. And on October 19th, that weight is multiplied. That's why you're being told so directly, stay away, isolate, protect your spirit. But here's the beautiful truth. When you obey this instruction, something opens. Imagine shutting every window in your house so no dust, no noise, no storm can enter. The moment it's quiet, you finally notice the light streaming in through the one window that truly matters. That light is God's voice. That whisper is divine alignment. And that is exactly what waits for you on October 19th. This silence will not be empty. It will be filled with revelation. The questions that have haunted you will begin to unravel. The people who have drained you will be revealed. The fears that kept you small will start to dissolve. And in their place, peace will rise. Strength will return. Clarity will pour in, like water over dry land. You will feel it, not in someone else's words, but in the stillness of your own heart. For some of you, this may feel like the hardest test yet. Friends may question why you're withdrawing. Family may pressure you to stay involved. But every act of resistance is actually a declaration of strength. You're not rejecting them. You're protecting the channel that God is opening. You're not cutting ties. You're cutting off interference. That distinction matters more than anything. When the day ends, you will realize something profound. It was never about October 19th alone. It was about proving to yourself and to the divine that you could rise above noise, that you could hold focus, that you could honor instruction. Once you do that, the weeks and months ahead will feel different. You will not move with the same uncertainty. You will not question your worth. You will not stumble over the same cycles. You will be free because you listened, obeyed, and protected your spirit. So hear this clearly. This day is not to be wasted. If you treat it like every other day, you will miss what is waiting. But if you honor it, you will step into alignment so powerful it can shift the entire trajectory of your journey. The silence you hold on October 19th will echo far beyond that date. It will mark the moment you chose clarity over chaos, truth over distraction, alignment over interference. And that's why this message is urgent. This is why you were drawn here. This is why you cannot ignore the call. On October 19th, stay away from friends. Protect your energy. Guard your spirit. Honor the silence. And in doing so, you will unlock the very clarity that has been waiting for you all along. When everything falls silent, that's when the truth arrives. The voices of others fade. The constant background noise of daily life dissolves. And in that rare stillness, the whisper of God becomes clear. That whisper is not loud. It doesn't shout. It waits for you. But it can only reach you when you're willing to step away from distractions, when you're ready to honor the sacred pause. This is not about rejecting your family, your friends, or those you love. It's not about closing your heart. It's about protection. Think of it as a shield that you consciously put in place just for a time so that you can hear what is truly meant for you. Every conversation, every opinion, every suggestion, even the ones that seem harmless, carry vibrations. Some of those vibrations are heavy, some are filled with fear, and some simply drown out the subtle message already waiting inside you. That's why the calling is clear. You must choose silence. Silence is not emptiness, it's fullness. It's the space where your intuition sharpens, where divine timing reveals itself, where the fragments of your soul align. When you step into silence, you realize how much noise you've carried unconsciously. You feel the weight that was not yours to hold. And in that release, something powerful happens. Clarity. The kind of clarity that doesn't come through effort, but through surrender. Many of you have felt restless, as though something important is approaching, but you cannot name it. That restlessness is not confusion, it's preparation. The universe has been arranging circumstances, guiding you through subtle signs and pushing you toward this moment. But here's the truth. Alignment doesn't always come through big dramatic events. More often, it comes through the choices you make in seemingly ordinary days. And this choice, to stay in silence, to protect your spirit, will not feel ordinary. It will feel sacred. Understand this. You're being invited to step into a deeper version of yourself, to release the patterns that have held you back, to see clearly which connections empower you and which connections drain you. On the day of alignment, you will notice the difference more sharply than ever before. The conversations that once seemed casual will feel heavy. The advice that once felt comforting will suddenly seem limiting. You will feel in your spirit whether words are lifting you closer to your path or pulling you away from it. That sensitivity is not weakness, it's awakening. And awakening always comes with a test. Sometimes the test is dramatic, but more often it's quiet. Will you take the call? Will you step into the silence? Will you trust yourself enough to turn away from the noise, even if it feels uncomfortable at first? That's the question being asked of you now. Do not mistake this calling as punishment. It's preparation. A single day set apart has the power to change the course of your life. One act of obedience opens doors that effort alone could never open. By stepping into silence, you prove to yourself and to the divine that you're ready. ready to receive without interference, ready to hear without distortion, ready to move forward with clarity. When you allow yourself this moment, you will notice the shift. You will feel lighter. You will feel protected. You will begin to recognize who truly walks with you and who only speaks to keep you tied to old cycles. This realization may not always be easy, but it's necessary because the next stage of your journey requires a lighter heart, a clearer mind, and stronger boundaries. So here's the final truth. You are not alone. The universe has been preparing you, guiding you, shaping you for this. Every sign, every synchronicity, every inner nudge has been leading you here. And now, the choice is yours. Will you continue to let outside voices direct your steps, or will you claim the silence that allows God's voice to finally rise within you? This is the test. This is the alignment. This is the invitation. Take it. Step into it. Protect your energy. Guard your heart and let the silence open the way. Because what is waiting for you on the other side is not loss, it's clarity. Not emptiness, it's fulfillment. Not fear, it's freedom. The day is not just a date on the calendar. It's a turning point. It's a marker in your story. And when you look back, you will see that this was not just another ordinary moment. It was the moment you chose to step away from noise and into truth. So rise to it, honor it, trust it, and when you do, your life will never be the same again.